Hey, what's up, everyone? Sextus here. Another commentary coming your way. Unscripted, of course, as you can tell from the last video, where I touched on pretty much why I'm walking away, things I disliked about the whole Taken King approach, and what have you. You know, it being a jumbled mess, kind of all over the place, wasn't really organized. Just because, again, it's unscripted. This is unscripted. I'm just watching old footage, just kind of for fun, and then kind of expressing the thoughts that come to my head as we go forth. So in the last video, I touched about kind of how I'm walking away for Destiny due to the Taken King. Not really due to the Taken King, but now that it's coming out, because of the past, what I've experienced, the lack of rewards that I felt that, you know, we've gotten thrown our way for people who've been around a while in comparison to those who are newly coming. Again, another thing I didn't really touch on in the last video is, you know, the people who did walk away initially when vanilla came out, you know, maybe a month or two into it, you know, that was a smart decision not to play Dark Below, not to play House of Wolves until now, because now not only do they save money, and they just get a much more richer experience in the game because a lot of the game is more polished. And, you know, like I said, I don't disagree with a lot of the changes that they made. I haven't personally went in and, you know, messing around with them because, again, I'm walking away from the game, not trying to get sucked back in, which I know I couldn't anyways, because I'm not going to, like I said, throw money at something and give money to a company that who strung me along the way they did, and who's lied to me the way they did, and pretty much underperformed in relation to the effort that, you know, us as a community and us as veterans has put in. So some of the things I like to see with Destiny going forward, because again, I probably will come back at some point. You know, like I said, this year 2, much like year 1, is going to have 3 releases. So, you know, once the pricing comes down, like it's bundled up and the pricing is a lot lower for the package rather than paying individually, and the content's that much better, because going in individually, just Taken King, playing it, the next expansion playing it, the next expansion playing it, like first year, Vanilla, Dark Below, House of Wolves, it's not going to be as rich and as exciting of an experience as buying the 3 of those together and then playing it from then on up, because not only will the level cap be higher than 40, but I guarantee you there will be a lot more, you know, places to visit and a lot more activities to do, a lot more challenges to accomplish and complete, and so it'll be a lot, you know, the time investment and the money will feel a lot more worthwhile at that point. Because again, after seeing what's transpired, I would have rather done it that way, because the people who are coming to the game now, buying all of year 1 and the start of year 2, they're getting a lot more for their bang for their buck, and they're getting a lot more of a polished game and experience within the story and just progression of the actual content of the game, because there's so much of it in relation to what we got, you know, the first year. So with that being said, anyways, moving on, things I like to see in Destiny going forward. A lot of the stuff I said I'd like to see, again, has been added since when I made videos like this after Dark Below and after House of Wolves, etc. They've come to fruition, which I'm happy for. So these are some of the things I'm hoping to see again in the future. I like to see more factions come into play, because I know that they're out there. They were talked about in, you know, pre-release videos and interviews and stuff like that. I want to see more of the factions come to play. Within those, obviously, you'd think there'd be more areas. How do you find more factions, more people, more opportunities? You expand the areas. So that's one thing that desperately needs to happen between now and this time next year, is they need to have more patrol areas. So whether it's more planets or more actual areas within the planets we see now, I don't know. I would say both, because you need to have more than one location on Earth. I'd say at least, you know, like, I don't know how difficult, it's not that difficult, but I don't know how difficult it is within the realm of the scope of work that they're doing, because I don't know the size of their teams and etc. And I know they're working on Destiny 2, so whatever. But I'd like to see at least 4 other patrol areas on Earth. Moon, I know you can't really expand upon, but Earth, obviously, you can branch out to other multiple continents. So you got old Russia, you could do like what was talked about before in some concept art, old Chicago, you know, old Detroit, you know, other big cities, old New York, old London. You know, you could do all these things within Earth because there's so many continents, there's so many big cities, there's so many other just awesome landscapes. There's videos from 2013 where you see a foresty area. Within the first live trailer, you see a foresty area and they jump down into a hole that kind of resembles the Hellmouth, but obviously wasn't the moon. We haven't seen that yet. So it'd be nice to see a lot of those areas actually implemented in the game. So again, I'd like to see at least 4 additional patrol areas with multiple missions, providing more lore to the game within the game and not through freaking Grimoire. Sometime between now and next year, this time next year. Not only on Earth, but obviously Venus creates some more landscapes because you can get creative since there's not actual like real life stuff that you can kind of go off of. Same with Mars. Create multiple locations because those planets are rather large, you know, because they're planets, and get creative, create another 4, you know, patrol areas, expand upon it. You know, with Taken King, they're bringing in the Rings of Saturn, the Dreadnought. You got the Reef already, and kind of flirting around with Mercury. And then you have with you know, multiplayer maps of Mercury. And then you have you know, the Moon. So the Moon, maybe 1 or 2 additional areas, because again, you can't really get imaginative and change the landscape and environment up too much. It's all going to be relatively the same. But to see the fact that the Moon right now kind of has a light and day in that certain area with the Hive, maybe go to a couple other locations on the Moon, change up the feel of it, and give like an all dark area, you know, something like that. Who knows? That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, Mars, Venus, Earth all should have multiple patrol areas included and implemented and added to them, in my opinion. That's one thing I'd at least like to see. I like to see more planets in general. Like Jupiter was a planet that was on the actual map if you bought the Legendary Edition vanilla, and we have yet to even hear about it, see it with any of these expansions. Yes, maybe the expansion that comes out after the Taken King, or the one that's going to come out after, you know, the 3rd one in the set of 3. Who knows? Maybe that's when it'll finally come out. Rings of Saturn, that's cool, and have multiplayer maps on there as well. But again, that's not really enough to fully boost the potential of the game. You definitely need more planets with multiple patrol locations just to kind of further entice people, give them more story, give them more missions, give them more adventure, you know, because that's the biggest thing that Destiny's lacking right now, is a true sense of adventure, like finding secrets and finding things, which it sounds like is supposedly going to be addressed within the Dreadnought. So maybe they are going to start leaning towards that moving forward. But again, it's something I've yet to actually see. So that still applies to this list. As far as PvP is concerned, I like to see more specialized activities and modes similar to Trials of Osiris to be added. So maybe like Faction Wars ordeal. So when you can implement matchmaking now, instead of just wearing faction cloaks or marks or bonds to, you know, align your faction, you actually have to pledge. So this was another actual idea that I saw from years and years ago that they actually had in a build, which again, I'm sure they're just waiting to actually introduce it. But again, it's yet to be seen by the majority of the public, by our current community. So I want to see faction wars. So what that would mean is you have the current alignment of game types that you have now, maybe include a couple different ones. We can get into that later. But since you have to pledge to a faction now, hopefully down the road, like I said, we'll see more introduced factions come into play. But once you pledge to a faction, from what it sounds like now, you can change from week to week. But once you pledge to a faction, you go and work towards that, and not in the sense of just building your faction points, but you go in the sense of maybe territorial aspect or some sort of behind the scenes you know, agenda that they can, since they have Grimoire, maybe they can add something kind of behind the scenes that actually impacts the game or impacts something on a website somewhere. You know, a fun little thing to keep track of amongst the community that sways, you know, the influence of said faction. So once you pledge to Dead Orbit, you have Dead Orbit, and when you go into matchmaking, whether you're with a team or alone, then you match up against a new monarchy a full new monarchy team or a full, future war cult team, and vice versa. So you couldn't have a fire team with varying factions, and you couldn't face another team of the same faction. So that way, it's a true faction war. There's pull in different directions. There's kind of more of a story behind the actual factions, more of a reason to have, the different factions, and more of a reason to actually choose the different factions other than your personal rewards, but some sort of actual impact amongst the universe, amongst the pull, the power, or the agendas that they're trying to push. So that's something I like to see. The Trials of Osiris has its own like card, and then you get to a new place once you go flawless. Opens up the lighthouse, and you get special rewards. So faction wars could be something similar. Obviously, maybe not have a card, but maybe like have the dead orbit, and then so that's your section, and then have like a new monarchy card and a new or a future war cult card. And once you beaten so many teams in a row, you get checks on those as well. And if you didn't lose to sway the percentage, but you only progress the percentage, you only progress the movement, progress the the activities of your faction against those factions, and unlock certain rewards to you in return. So that, I think, would add a whole new aspect. It would influence more clan building, it would influence more sense of togetherness, more sense of community, more sense of reason to want to jump into Crucible and want to pledge to one faction or another, etc. I mean, yes, there's going to be problems of, not all your friends are going to probably go on the same faction, or you're going to have a hard time convincing people to do something like that. But at the same time, sometimes it's fun to play against your friends. Sometimes, it's necessary to do something like that to promote meeting other people, making new friends, stuff like that. So I think that's something that you do in the PvP aspect, and what I'd like to see happen. There's other PvP things like you see, like different modes. Now you got Rift, which is kind of a pseudo capture the flag ordeal, except instead of capturing, you're pursuing. So it's kind of like a neutral bomb, neutral assault game type from Halo is the closest thing I can really think to it. You charge it up, you grab it, you take it, you pursue, you move forward to put it in their base, explode their base, you get kills if they're nearby, etc., and you get mass amount of points. So to see an actual like flag type game type, or maybe like an assassination mode, like you think Gears of War assassination, where there's someone designated on the other team, and it's a round based game, and until you kill that like quote unquote leader on the other team, the round doesn't end, and you get the team gets a point per round to kind of build off that elimination feel, right? Like elimination right now, you eliminate the whole team, you get a point towards the overall victory. Well, assassination could be something like, okay, they randomly select a guardian to be the leader, maybe the one who plants the flag, that round, and then another one plants the flag the next round. If he dies, and then if that person lives, as long as that person's alive, your team can keep respawning, your team can keep moving forward. And once the other enemy team's leader is dead, boom, your team wins. That's a round, maybe making a max of 2 rounds or something like that, rather than like the 5 of the current elimination. That way it gives the other team time to re-strategize and move forward. And if it's a 1-1, the worst length of the match is going to be a 3-rounder, because again, you don't really want to promote camping, but at the same time, that will set up probably teams trying to camp and hide their dude. But you think about it, that requires a lot of communication, and again, that's going to be difficult because not everybody talks to each other, and you're not going to always join as a full fire team to be on one side of the team. But if you really think about it, the reason they put in the talking to your team aspect is so you actually talk to your teammates. Like, so many people wanted it, but really no one uses it. No one really uses that talk feature. At least not enough people use that talk feature to their advantage and to the extent that it should be used. So to have game types like that to try to promote people to actually go into the game chat is going to be ideal. So like an assassination type game type would be just huge. Obviously the faction wars one kind of wouldn't be a big deal because you can obviously implement that within the current framework of what you see now with control and stuff like that, and then just kind of sway things. But an assassination type playlist, or you know, like a capture the flag playlist. Capture the flag, I guess you wouldn't necessarily need communication, but assassination would almost certainly push forward the aspect of, you know, communication and getting people to jump in there, because you'd want to know where you're going, for one, and then on top of that, you'd want to know where the dude is, and you want to tell the dude where he can go so he doesn't die. In Destiny, I know, is a fast-paced game, and there's a lot of different angles and a lot of speed to it to get to areas, so it'd be harder to protect the guy. But that would be in essence of where it would come in, where the leader, the quote-unquote leader, could have this super regenerate quicker, a higher amount of shields, maybe always have an overshield on. His grenades recharge faster, his melee recharge faster, stuff like that to kind of give him an advantage over the people who aren't a leader, and that would in turn create the feel and the desire for the leader to not only try to camp, but be a benefit to his team and helping him, and helping them kill and helping them actually pursue the opposite leader. So that's one mode I'd love to see come to Destiny, just because of the fact that, again, there's the communication aspect. With the random people isn't there to kind of further grow the community, further draw people together, would be awesome. Another thing is, with these kiosks they put in, it would be nice to see the LFG websites, or not only that, but the Grimmar. Obviously the Grimmar, see some Grimmar kiosks so you can actually read in-game the cards that you get rather than having to go to a third party, but see the LFG system implemented within some sort of kiosk aspect in the social areas, like the tower, like the read. Obviously there could be direct feed maybe from some of the websites, and you can have like different kiosks in different areas, and based on the area that you're in, each kiosk ties into a feed, a real-time feed from a certain website. So if people wanted to use the website still, they could go to the website, post, or just look for stuff there. But not only that, the kiosk would give you the live feed of the ability, and then have a UI where you have the ability of putting in your guardian. So when you put in your guardian, it automatically takes your data from the server and posts it on, you select, so like you're selecting your inventory, you're selecting your vault. Boom, you have all those options up there. You select the activities that you'd be interested in doing. You select the level of your character, the class of your character, and then boom, you hit post, and it posts it up, and it gives a list. And then people who are looking for additional people can go to that list, find it. People who are looking for the activity, or people for their activity, can do the same sort of thing. I'm doing this activity, I have this many people in my fire team, so on and so forth. Just create like an actual environment within the game through some of these awesome community created endeavors, and actually put them within the game. Obviously I know Grimmar was from Bungie and Activision to begin with, but if you took like the LFG stuff and implemented that into the game in some form or fashion, utilizing these new little kiosk systems, that would be awesome. That would be ideal to see in the coming years, or coming expansions. Another awesome thing would be within the public events. So I know currently it looks like there's going to be a big boost to a public event experience within the Taken King, but it's still not to the level that I think would be really ideal. Yes, now you can trigger them yourself. Now you get more some base rewards, some cool rewards. But I think what would be extra awesome is the randomness aspect. So we currently had a randomness aspect from vanilla to up until the Taken King, up before 2.0. If you created bosses that you could only see and fight within a public event, so something like, you see Atheon, you see Crota, now you're going to see Oryx, you see Skolas, in raids and in these endgame activities, if you could see endgame type bosses within, randomly going about public events, and they not only, you see them and they have that difficulty within the fight, not only that, it would be awesome if they could then drop unique, specific items, you know, only unique and specific to them, to people. Because what that would do is it would promote people actually doing patrol again, for the elongated amounts of time. It'd promote adventure, excitement, you know, just not risk. Well, yeah, kind of risk, because if you're by yourself and then you try to take this on, it'd be a really daunting task. You'd have to call people in essentially, and it would, like I said, it would create that social aspect of needing to communicate with other people and bring them in to complete this fight. Yes, it would wouldn't be fair to the lower level people, but again, you have to please hardcore people and at the same time provide something for the more casual people to want to pursue, to want to get involved with, to want to spend time in the game to get to. So I think having something like that in the game where it was so random, so unique to see, and then again drop awesome endgame type items, so the encounter would be endgame-ish. You know, it drops in, it's actual huge event, right? It actually changes the landscape around the boss and the area that it comes in, and it's only like that for that specific amount of time, for that specific encounter, and it provides unique mechanics that you wouldn't see anywhere else, not in any other strike, not in any other raid, you know, stuff like that. And then boom, if you win, you get like awesome rewards specific to that encounter, specific to that boss. If you lose, then there's some actual like repercussion, right? Like say that area then becomes flooded, like it triggers other little events, like you see the enemies, you know, run against each other now, or you see, you know, you had the hive dudes flying during Dark Below, you had the wolves, you know, surround for House of Wolves, you know, flying and do all this stuff. Maybe if you lose, that dude stays there, right, until he's finally beaten. But the more times that people die, the stronger not only he, you know, the individual boss could get or be, but obviously it creates the environment to become more difficult. Maybe more dudes come in, more ads come in to help him out, or more mechanics, you know, stack on top of it, so to again allow for you to want to have the desire to communicate, to bring other people in, whether it's friends or whether it's people to actually be able to find the event, right? So a couple people stumble across it and say they're really skilled players and able to beat it, and no one sees it, that's kind of sucky. So say they try it and then they fail, you don't want them to constantly have a shot at it and be the only ones to get rewards, or be the only ones to, you know, see it and experience it. So again, like I said, to promote the communication, to promote the ability to want to bring other people in and create new friends and meet new people, you make it difficult to where if those people try and fail, it becomes more difficult by, again, maybe stacking another modifier, or stacking another mechanic that makes it more difficult, or stacking more enemies around the dude, just stuff like that. So that way more people can have the opportunity to come around and see it, to come around and find it, to come around and get rewards. And again, don't make it something that's easily that easily spawns. Like, make it very, very unique, so it's something special. So it's a special encounter, and so the loot is actually special to the people that are going out and doing patrol, and that are you know, including other people, and that are you know, progressing in that way of just adventure, right, and developing a community and supporting, you know, other people and stuff like that. So I think that would be another ideal aspect that they need to add, that they have yet added. So I said that touches on some PvP aspects, some you know, actual in-game PvE aspects, and then what have you. Obviously, there needs to be more varied strikes. There needs to be more varied raids. So that would kind of tie into the new explorable areas. You have, you know, maybe one of each in each explorable area to kind of progress and help the story, or help the lore. I mean, that's just common knowledge, and that's just what's going to be expected anyways. They're always going to add stuff like that. Obviously, I'd like to see an aspect with the ships where you can customize the ships more. So maybe a time where you can actually build your own ship. You know, you go out and you find ship parts or something, and not only can you change the look of them, but you can, you know, obviously build them, put them together to create your own unique looking ship eventually. And so not only would the color be different, but the actual, you know, foundation and look and aspect of look would be different. Granted, that'd be difficult because You know, you can't have too many different looks, but now with the ships that they're adding, they're trying to keep up with it with all these different colors, but you see them, it's basically just a reskinning. So you take that aspect, right, and you try to say, like, you have the wings from, like, the Bane of the Dark, you know, whatever ship from Crota, and then you have the body of, like, you know, like the space bus or something like that. You can mix and match stuff. You can change the color. You can change the texture. Stuff like that would be awesome. So not only would you then be able to build your own ship, but then when you take that ship, it's unique and it has a unique look, more of a unique look. And then it promotes, like I said, adventure to find stuff to do that. But actually have your ships be more useful than just, you know, the loading screen, stuff like that. Make it to where you can do space battles with them, or fly to the locations and actually maybe land yourself, or at least, you know, fly and explore like a space area there, and then maybe have, you know, spatial public events, because again, if you don't want to create just patrol areas on, you know, foundations of planets, you can do it in space. So that would be another cool aspect I think they need that and they should add in the future. But again, thanks for watching. A bunch of random events or talking points. Hope you enjoyed it. Later.